Welcome back to Bloodstock TV. I am delighted to have the lads from Greenlung here. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. How long has it been? 21, 22, 23, 3 years? 3 years.
Three long years.
Sophie stage to right up to the top of the pyramid on the Ronnie James Dio
Well,
stage.
the bottom of the higher pyramid.
Yeah. But honestly, welcome back to Bloodstock. Just want to rewind here for a second of everything that has happened to you guys since the release of the new album. It has been a trajectory that is just locked in at a 45-degree angle. Just like, I mean, like what comes to, I mean, it just must be overwhelming at this stage. Like one thing betters the next, you know?
Yeah, it's been amazing, and it's kind of felt that way, kind of ever since we played Bloodstock last time. That was right at the end of the pandemic. It's very different. Like we just played 3 shows with Opeth. We've done a bunch of big festivals this year. I think we're a lot more prepared this time around. I think the new album's opened a lot of doors. It's been a really healthy thing, but it feels like, I don't know, the last 3 years haven't really stopped with the 45-degree angle.
Right. So it's kind of like...
Yeah, we're going to get used to it.
Yeah.
We were holding on for dear life last time.
Yeah. Well, listen, it is where it is, and you can't complain. I mean, it's just amazing and so well deserved as well.
Thanks.
I mean, just even the recent news headlining the Forum in Kentish Town, in London, and then the Ritz in Manchester with Onto Others. I mean, that is just like, what a package. Like, so incredible. But like, headlining those venues, and I'm sure you guys have been in and out through the doors there at numerous shows over the years.
Big time.
That's a bucket list for sure. That's another thing.
It's so surreal because I think when we started the band, the loftiest goals was to play an all-dayer at a pub called the Bird's Nest in Deptford. Shout out the Bird's Nest in Deptford. And yeah, just to, I think because our kind of goals have been shattered so many times. Like before then it was, the Black Heart in Camden, 150 capacity. And then, growing the way it's grown has just been, it's just an absolute privilege. And it feels absolutely surreal.
But also, particularly for me, the London show, the Kentish Town Forum, I remember going to see Rise Above Records doing their like big showcase show there with Cathedral headlining, getting the bus down from Norwich and feeling like that was this huge event. And it feels like coming full circle. I can't really believe we get to play that venue.
It's incredible.
It's going to mean a lot for that reason for me. And I think, if I was me then, now, seeing Greenlung and Unto Others and saying Satyrs, I'd be like, I'm going to that show.
Yeah. I mean, as well as that fantastic news that we've just spoken about, I mean, you're going off to America next month, September. This is the first American dates, right? And I've seen people on your socials like already like just let's have you. They want you over there, and that is to have breached the scene of the United Kingdom straight out and see that there are people all over the world that are willing and ready to embrace you into shows is just fantastic. So just remind me, when are you heading off for that American tour?
So I think it's like September 13. That tour begins. We're doing 9 shows. We're doing Desert Fest New York, which will be a big one. With Acid King and Russian Circles. Yeah, I mean, I think the really fun thing about doing the States is that, they're not seeing the early Greenlung. They're kind of seeing the souped up, like polished Greenlung. And like, there's a charm to, I love that there's people who saw us when we were a bit shonkier and playing, to 50 people. But I think the States, they're going to be like experiencing the pro shop version, which is kind of satisfying.
Excellent. Very good. Now, you just spoke that you were out with Opeth recently, and you have been out with the mighty Clutch as well, all of which are here this weekend. With performing and playing with these bands and being on the road with them and seeing, the level of the way they're touring, obviously it's great to share a bill with bands that you've grown up with, that are your idols, say, in some cases, or influences. But do you also have this other side of you where it's like you're looking at the way everything is running with them behind scenes, and we need to do this, or we can improve this, and any like from the business side of things, looking at these.
Yeah,
bands,
absolutely. You know? And it's one of those things where it's all a bit of a dark art and a bit of a secret. You don't know how all these kind of things get done. And then when you see the scale of, particularly the Opeth production that we're just on with, which you'll be seeing tomorrow, just, you know, looking at our scale where our production is a big wooden head on stage. And then
well, at least it's not the little tiny Stonehenge from
It's not far off.
I'm still annoyed about Standout, because otherwise we could have a big Stonehenge decal. It'd be perfect, but
you have to do that at some point.
Yeah, at some point.
You've got to be careful.
Really small.
You've got to fly close, but not too close.
But yeah, it's an absolute inspiration seeing how those bands do that kind of thing. And I think just in terms of like, it's easy to always feel like you're still that band playing the Bird's Nest in Deptford, and watching those bands is like a constant reminder. Like, no, you need to like invest in your production. You need to, you know, really give people something to. Give people a show.
But it's also like there's something amazing about sitting at the back of the venue and watching Michael Ackerfeld and the Opeth guys, like, you know, straighten themselves out before a show. Just like you know, like, being a band doesn't really change even at the top level. You're still, like, a lot of the rhythms and stuff are the same. Obviously, it's inspiring from a sort of spec like point of view and pushing yourselves, but also it's kind of a reminder that, you know, your heroes are also just human beings who are just dedicated to what they're doing and have been doing it a long time. And the more we do it, the more I'm like, that's what it's about. You know, you can have like, I definitely felt like an imposter at the beginning, you know, of like being a musician, being like that guy. But there's something amazing about playing with huge bands and realizing that it's basically just dedication and doing it and keeping on doing it and trying to do it better.
And it helps because he's actually so lovely as well. He's such a nice person.
Yeah, and both him and like both those bands, Clutch and Opeth, have been hugely kind to us. Super nice guys, very humble, very like no egos. You know, you hear from fellow bands that are on level, like horror stories about certain bands. We've been really lucky to tour with those guys.
Okay, the last time I spoke to you, Scott, in Ireland, and I'm always interested in seeing what's going on, what's coming up ahead. And even though the new album, we're still celebrating the new album, I was asking you about what's new material you're writing, and you had said to me that you were looking at possibly going in a little bit more of a raw and aggressive direction. Is that still the case, or have you changed completely and you're going into a kind of a synth?
Yeah, we've decided. Yeah, we're going to reinvent ourselves as a synthy psych band. Yeah. No, I think. It's funny, you kind of go through seasons as a musician, as a creator of things that are inspiring you, and I think it's always good to have creative constraints that you want to work in. So this Heathen Land was obviously very maximalist in terms of the soundscapes, and the production of it was very wide-ranging. I think it would be, as a writing exercise and a creative thing, really fun to do something much more stripped back, much more proto-metal and just back to the basics of what the Green Lung sound is.
Excellent. So we will wait and see what comes down the line for that. Last question. Out of everything that's happened, and there is a lot, each of you, what would be, when I ask you right now, the first thing that comes into mind, the standout over the last 3 years, kind of like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe that moment happened. Because great things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, mine's for sure Hellfest, which we played earlier this year. I went there as a kid. I remember going on this crazy road trip. It was the year that like Manowar, I think it was like Motley Crue and Marilyn Manson were the other headliners. But it was like an incredible edition of that festival because it was like Cathedral, Electric Wizard, a lot of the Dune and Stoner, and kind of black metal and whatever underground stuff that I loved was all that weekend. And also, you know, you could go and see Europe do the Final Countdown. I remember being
Which is like,
this is the...
You gotta, a staple.
And it was like, you know, at the summer, I think I left uni and it was just this big moment in my life. And so going back to Hellfest, you know, like over a decade on and playing it, it was the first time we played a festival where I felt like we turned it into a Green Lung club gig where everyone was going mental. Often with a festival, you know, you have your fans, and then there's a bunch of people who are kind of like, okay, what's this? And I think that's always been like Green Lung's. It is accessible, but it's also a very particular flavor.
Sure.
And like, just getting the live performance to the stage. And this is more me talking from a personal point of view, but like, I felt like we had them in the palm of our hands, and that's the first time I've really felt that with a festival, like being able to scale our performance. Especially as a front person, it's like,
well, it's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, your powers don't always work at festivals because in a club gig where everyone knows every note, there's this push and pull.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes I go out there and I feel like, the magic's not quite working there. And that's fine, but the Hellfest show was, it made me really excited about Bloodstock, which is even more of a home crowd.
Scott?
I think for me, it's still the Electric Ballroom, our last London headline show. I think because I've seen all of my heroes play there over the years. And it's one of those things where you see things growing after the album gets released on the internet.
Yeah.
But it's just the internet, it's not real. But then, selling out a venue that's been such a formative venue to me growing up was a really surreal thing.
So what was the Electric?
The Electric Ballroom, yeah.
So Ken Shatan is like, hold my beer a sec. We're going to replace that memory.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for taking the time. We've a lot to do over this weekend. You guys are playing. It's going to be absolutely killer. Your schedule is, as we keep saying, the 45-degree trajectory. And over to America and God knows what else afterwards, 2025. Big year for you, I'm sure. If you guys have not heard the new album, go out there and get it. Be sure to catch Green Along anytime you have the chance to, because it is an experience. I can tell you that for sure.
Thank you, man.
So listen, thank you so much, and we'll catch you again the next time.
Whatever happens, we'll be back here chatting to you in a couple of years.
Nice one. Excellent. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Pleasure as always.